Well, okay, there's no red microphone, but this is Rudy Giuliani, and we are live with America's, with the Rudy Giuliani Show. There it is. There's the camera. And I would first like to acknowledge what I don't think was mentioned at the convention, or at least in any prominent way. And I like to do this every so often, try to do it every night. We don't quite make it every night. From the time of the barbaric attack on Israel by the group that are being very, very heavily supported and rallied around by any large number of Democrats. And the Democratic Convention itself has nothing critical to say about it, except the point made by the demented former president that they have a point they're making. There are hostages, and there are a number of Israeli hostages. Several were found dead the other day. But there are American hostages, and since we don't have an American administration that cares about Americans, nor do we expect to have one if the Democrats are elected, because it's going from bad to worse. I mean, Biden has left so many Americans behind, it's impossible to count. Was he the only American president that left people behind? I can't think of another one. Every good reason to believe that Harris and Walz would continue that policy, particularly Walz, who walked out on his National Guard unit when they were going to go off to war, described by his priest, minister, or pastor at the time as a coward. Eden Alexander is missing. Eden comes from Tenafly, New Jersey. He's been missing all this time, and the left-wing, communist-leaning administration, the Iran-supporting administration of Biden and Harris have done nothing to get him back. Nothing. They don't even talk about it. Itai Chen died on October 7, but they took his body. We can't even get his body back. We have extraordinarily strong ties with Qatar. Qatar has extraordinarily strong ties with Hamas. It gives them refuge. It allows their multi-billionaire leaders, yes, I said multi-billionaire leaders, to hang out there. We allow them to hang out there. And we probably put some kind of a restriction on Israel, taking them out there. I would think we could just lift that and say, hey, give us the people back, or you're not going to be enjoying Qatar. Yeah, it is true. You're going to get your 92, 72, 78 virgins. Want to count on it? Don't give us our hostages back, and we'll send you to the virgins. Then there's Segui Dekal Chen. He had been working at a machine shop at the kibbutz near Oz, and he put his body over his children. And he was killed. They want his body back. Hirsch Goldberg Pollen has been held from the beginning. He's 23 years old. He's from Berkeley, California. He championed coexistence between the Arabs and the Jews. Did him a lot of good because he's been held hostage now. From the beginning, there was a little trace of, near the beginning, there is none now. The Biden administration is doing shit for him. Gadel Haggai XL was killed. He was 73 years old. He's a retired chef, a jazz musician, a father of four. He's a flautist in the IDF orchestra. He lived he comes from the United States, lived in the United States for a number of years, and then decided to join kibbutz near Oz. And that's where he was. He was shot down by terrorists on a motorcycle, and they took his body because they're vicious terrorists that these people, these Democrats here, are protesting for. And who the demented head of the party says they have a point. Judith Weinstein Haggai XL was born in New York. She was raised in Toronto. She went to Israel in '76. She's taught Israeli and Palestinian children. She's written books of poetry, and she's dead, and they won't give us her body back because they're animals, because they're terrorists, because they're murderers. This is the first time in the history of America that I can remember that we have massive protests in favor of terrorists, and we have a Democratic Party that's sympathetic to it. They sure as hell can't condemn it. The best they can do is it's 6-1 1/2 dozen of the other, but it's really not. Omar Nutra, 22. He was born in Manhattan a month after the September 11 attacks. He's a Knicks fan, like I am. He went to Binghamton University. He decided to serve in the IDF, and the Hamas militants ambushed him. And they're holding him. Keith Siegel, same thing. Keith Siegel's a therapist, occupational therapist. He's 64. He comes from South Carolina. They're holding him, and we pray to God that he's still alive. Our useless, feckless, ridiculously stupid, idiotic, traitorous administration, which is going from bad to worse, it does nothing about them. You pray for them. And I think maybe the moment that Donald Trump is in office, like when Ronald Reagan was in office, they're going to be back, or at least their bodies are going to be delivered. And I pray to God as to what will happen to them if they don't. But they won't be ignored like the lily-livered cowards that run our administration now and that are having this pretense of a convention here. This is not a convention. It's a communist international. Now, I have with me Mark Vargas. Mark is the editor-in-chief of Illinois Review.
That's right.
How can we have a better person than Illinois Review? So my first question for you, Mark, is, before I came here, I started reading, and having done this many, many times as the mayor, that you have to give out permits for First Amendment protests, and you can make some restrictions about time and manner and access and all that stuff, but you have to give them permits. So all the anti-Israel, anti-Jewish, Jew-hating, American-hating organizations have been giving a plethora of permissions. The Jewish organizations have gotten none, and they've had to set up a private place to have their protest. So this is a Democrat administration. This is a Democratic dictatorship. 60 years of Democratic rule, Democratic mayors. Every weekend we get a Vietnam, Afghanistan body count of how many black kids get killed. And the black politicians who represent this place, including the biggest one of all, the prince who showed up the other night, haven't done a damn thing about it. So how is it that these people can get a permit, but the Jewish people, who certainly have a right to make the point that they're defending themselves, they're defending themselves. The other guys are making the point that they should be willing to leave Israel or live with a new state that wants to destroy them. So why? What's happened? Is Johnson's administration worse than any other, or is he just typical of the crooked Democrat administrations we've had here for as long as you and I have been alive?
Well, Mr. Mayor, what's remarkable is that 20 minutes north of Chicago is the second largest Holocaust museum in the United States, in Skokie. And the Democratic leadership in Chicago and across the state failed to acknowledge that fact. But the anti-Semitic rhetoric that has been happening here in Chicago is outrageous. And all I can say to that is our founding fathers are rolling over in their graves, and the ghost of Adolf Hitler is dancing in the streets. Over 150 different organizations from across the country, organizations that hate America, organizations that hate Israel, organizations that love socialism, organizations that love communism, organizations that love Marxism, terrorist organizations have formed a nationwide coalition to march. Over 100,000 of these members are gathered here in Chicago, and they have been given permission to march and to protest. And you know what their objective is, Mr. Mayor? They want Democratic leaders to hear their voices. They want their own Democratic leaders to hear their voices. In the meantime, pro-Jewish groups have not been given these permits. It is outrageous.
And they're going to let it rest this way. I mean, the pro-Jewish groups will get no attempt to make even a modest protest or statement in favor of the justice of their cause.
It is sad. And, you know, the Chicago City Council, shortly after October 7th, tried to pass a pro-Israel resolution, and it nearly put the city council at war. There was so much opposition to it. It is remarkable, and it's one reason why I think that the Jewish vote, which is traditionally Democratic, the Democrats, I think that the Jewish Democrats are going to be supporting President Trump because of what is happening, particularly here in Chicago during the Democratic Convention and the tale of two worlds.
Why? I mean, I agree with you. Well, first of all, I agree they should be. And I also agree that if it ever is going to happen, it's going to happen now. But what's the reluctance? Why? I mean, this should have been the case going back to Ronald Reagan. Every Republican president has been better to the Jewish community. I mean, Clinton double-crossed him completely with Arafat. Completely. I mean, Clinton absolutely created the problem with the ridiculous, idiotic, moronic, crazy sellout idea of a two-state solution. I mean, you can't be an intelligent Jewish or Arab and think that you can have a two-state solution where one state is right next to another. You're going to establish it, and from the day it begins, it's going to be dedicated to destroying the other state. I mean, that would be like saying New York should agree that New Jersey should be allowed to have an army and a group of people that are training to come into New York and destroy all New Yorkers. We should agree with it.
It's remarkable. And you know what? The media doesn't help. And what's happening is the wide open border policy under Biden and Harris. Over 25,000 illegal migrants have entered the city of Chicago in the last year and a half.
How many?
25,000. We don't know their backgrounds. There's a reason why there's signs posted outside of jails and prisons on the roadside that say, "Do not pick up hitchhikers." There's a reason for that, because you don't know who they are, you don't know their backgrounds. Yet we've opened up our southern border to allow the most violent and vicious criminals from around the world to infiltrate our major cities. And Mr. Mayor, I don't think that the Democratic voters that are Jewish, they're not going to realize this until, sadly, we have an October 7th type attack here in the United States. It's not if, but when, and they're already here.
Well, we're told that by the director of the FBI, who is kind of useless, but he does relate this now. For the last year, he's been warning us of an Al-Qaeda or Taliban or some form of Islamic attack, Iranian Islamic attack. Of course, he doesn't explain how that happened. It happened because millions of illegals have come in, none of which he's done anything about. And he's very, very late to the game. It's like he lets the entire army in that wants to destroy us, and then after it's in here, he tells us there's an army here that wants to destroy us. But that's the situation. That's the situation that we face. So the chances of winning Illinois, of course, are not very much. But I do feel compelled to ask you, just as a reflection of the states that surround you, how will the election go, and what impact will this convention have on that election?
Well, I think this convention is proof that the Democrats have been lying for years. I mean, they should change their symbol from the donkey to Pinocchio, because all they do is lie. And it's why they put Joe Biden on stage at 2 o'clock in the morning, because they wanted to hide his cognitive decline. And so I think what this convention is exposing when they're talking about on day one, President Harris will do this. Well, day one was January 20th of 2021. That was day one. What has happened? They talk about all these things that she's going to do to help our country. Well, she's been vice president for the last 3 years, vice president to a president that has been cognitively disabled. So what I think, to answer your question, what I think is going to happen post-convention is that Kamala Harris is going to be forced to actually meet with the press. She's going to be forced to answer questions. She's going to be forced to defend her record in California, and she's going to be forced to defend the Biden-Harris record that has let violent, dangerous criminals into our country, that has destroyed the middle class with high inflation and gas prices, that has turned our communities into war zones, where our children we have the worst test scores in the world now because of the pandemic, the destruction that the pandemic has caused, that destroyed lives and livelihoods. So I think after this convention, her honeymoon's going to be over in the end, and she's going to be in real trouble.
So if you look at the states that surround you, right, those states do have the tendency to go Republican. Some of them are solidly Republican, like Indiana, right?
And Wisconsin. Wisconsin's looking good.
Okay. So why such trouble in Illinois that used to be a pretty reliable Republican state?
In Illinois, as a representative of miniature United States, you've got a little bit of everything. It's a 10-hour drive north to south and 3.5 east to west. It's really been the Democratic control. The Chicago has controlled the entire state for decades, and we can't forget about all the election interference, the stealing of elections. Stealing elections in Chicago and in Illinois is as American as apple pie.
Oh, no. You mean an election was... That can't be. New York Times says you don't steal elections in America.
That's right.
They don't steal elections. Oh, my goodness. Terrible thing to say, Mark. Oh, oh boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. But... yeah, I guess it is true that Chicago is considered Chicago is considered to be the symbol of stealing American elections because of the Kennedy.
That's right.
The Kennedy Nixon election, right?
That's right. The first Mayor Daley said we got to win this one for Jack, and they did.
Right, right, and that's the one that's alleged to be the first one, and then. There have been a lot more since then. Of course, the most notorious was the one of 2020. So now, how do you see this election working out in Chicago, in Illinois, and then in general, in the Midwest?
Well, I'll tell you specifically here in Chicago, if you go into the south and west sides of Chicago, predominantly the black community, they're fed up because their lives have not gotten better. Their lives have gotten worse. Grocery stores are closing because of high crime. Schools are falling apart. And here's what's one of my favorite stories of all time in the last year, Mr. Mayor. The president of the Chicago Teachers Union, who was barking against private schools, it was revealed that she's sending her son to a private school. And when asked why she's sending her son to a private school, the president of the Chicago Teachers Union, she said, well, he plays football and they don't have athletics at the public school in our neighborhood. So what's interesting is she can afford to send her child to a public school or to a private school so he can play football, but her own constituents, their own residents in the south and west side. So what we're seeing is a transformation of politics in the black community in major cities, not just like Chicago, but Detroit and Milwaukee and Philadelphia and Atlanta. I can see it. I can feel it. I hear it going on here in Chicago. The Bidenomics has completely destroyed not only the middle class, but the poor, lower-income communities in Chicago. And so we're seeing a transition from predominantly Democrat to warming up towards Republican. There's a lot of support for President Trump in the south and west side of Chicago.
So you pick that up. You hear that. We do interviews. We hear other interviews in the black community that people are supporting Trump. Then you see polls that show, well, the polls do show a jump in support, but 8% to 20 or something like that. But it doesn't show massive change. So why are you so sure that he's going to have this major, let's say, particularly black support? I think people are convinced that the Hispanic numbers are real. But in a city like this that's Democrat-controlled, that is controlled by a group that is expert in running crooked elections, how are they going to let that black vote get away?
Well, gang warfare is destroying families and communities all across the country, but particularly here in Chicago. And what we're seeing is a frustration. President Trump, when he said this in 2015, what have you got to lose? It can't get any worse. It can't get any worse. And it is true. It is getting worse. And I think that when Kamala Harris has to defend why she put innocent black men and Hispanic men and women into prison when they didn't deserve it, when evidence proved otherwise, proved their innocence, when she's going to have to explain why she sent mass incarceration under her leadership, and Biden writing the 1994 Clinton crime bill that accelerated mass incarcerations, what Michelle Alexander has called the new Jim Crow in America. I mean, this sort of stuff really touches what President Trump did with the First Step Act. These are real issues that affect particularly the black community that Kamala Harris isn't going to have any answers for in terms of a defense.
It's a foregone conclusion that on Election Day, this state will vote for Harris. Now, how do you go from that to a state in which you have a two-party political system? Because it seems to me, of all the states in the country, and certainly of all the cities in the country, including even my own, which comes in a close second, it suffers most from the dictatorship of the Democrat Party. Chicago does, from the point of view of the number of black children slaughtered every weekend, and the black politicians doing nothing about it. The black community wants charter schools. The black politicians take the money from the Communist Teachers Union to block them. The change mechanism is there. What's left of the Democratic Party now that stops the inevitable from taking place? You got 70% of the community wants charter schools. 95% of the elected Democrats don't. When does it break open?
Partially is our own party here in Illinois. We've had a very poor, very weak state Republican Party. We've run terrible candidates. We don't have enough fight in our belly. We're not pouncing on these issues. We have a terrible public relations operation as a state Republican Party, and the Democrats have been able to take advantage of that and paint everybody as extremists and as racist. But you're right, the Democrats control here in Illinois. Not only do they control every statewide office, but they also have supermajority control in the Illinois legislature, the House and Senate. And Mr. Mayor, the only reason why we have the Democratic National Convention in Chicago is because J.B. Pritzker bought it. He paid for it.
He wants to show off what a good job is being done in Chicago. Well, he wants to show off the highest murder rate in the country. He wants to show off a city that's losing population left and right. He wants to show off a city with excessive homelessness and illegal immigrants. I mean, what's the point of it? He thought he was going to be vice president?
Or presidential ambition. His presidential ambition is as big as his waistline. And what's interesting...
I mean, the last time they took a fat slob like that for president, it was Taft.
And he's going to make Taft look like a like Tom Brady.
Yeah.
J.B. Pritzker makes Taft look like Tom Brady. But what's interesting, Mr. Mayor, the statistic that I think would hit home for you, in the last year, over 220,000 high-priority 911 calls went unanswered in the city of Chicago.
Yeah, you told me that. My goodness, how could that be? How could that be? Did they ever find out what happened to those poor people?
That we don't know, but we have a 2,000 police officer shortage in the city of Chicago. 2,000. As a result, 220,000 high priority 911 calls like shots fired, assault in progress. And the Democrats are going to say, well, we're making progress because in 2020 that number was over 400,000 high priority 911 calls that went unanswered. In Chicago, if you hear gunshots, the coroner will arrive faster than the police.
Well, in the face of that, we have a convention celebrated in Chicago, one of the prime examples of Democrat corruption, failure, decrepitude. But they have a theme for this convention: joys and vibes. This is, again, another example of Russian, Chinese, communist propaganda. Say the opposite and you'll convince people. Have you seen any joy in this convention? Joy? And what are they talking about? Joy? Her cackling? Where's the joy? I haven't heard a good joke.
There's been no joy. And what we're seeing in other segments, Mr. Mayor, is that the attendees are just as angry as the speakers. I mean, I've never witnessed a convention where speakers are literally yelling and screaming and are going into fits of rage, and you can see veins popping out of their head. And this is the party that's going to save America? I mean, they can't even save themselves. How can they save America? This is I'd sum this up. This is an angry convention.
It sure is an angry convention. Those people outside are really angry that they can't get inside. The people inside are either angry they can't get inside or angry they're outside. And then you have a whole group of people that can't get a permit at all. So that's a lot of unhappy. That's a lot of unhappy people. It also at the top there can't be much unity. I mean, it's unprecedented that that Kamala and Comrade Walz would leave town when the Prince and Princess arrive. I mean, the Prince and Princess of the Democrat Party, the King and Queen of Chicago, showed up for their speech, and she was off doing a fundraiser
in Milwaukee. She was in Milwaukee. They were completely out of town, and she was watching her husband's speech on her iPad on Air Force Two. But this is and this is just as laughable as Nancy Pelosi chanting "We love Joe, we love Joe" when she was responsible, partly responsible for his removal. We have when you have the Prince yesterday talking about how great Joe Biden's presidency was and how great of a president he was. Well, if he was so great, why did you kick him out? If he was so great, why did you ignore the will of 14 million Democratic primary voters who voted for Joe Biden?
Oh, because they know he's a dope. I mean, for example, he made sure he didn't become his successor. That's right. He made sure he didn't become his successor. Now people say that happened because Hillary faced him with all of his crimes and said, you know, I'm not Trump, I'll go after you. I don't know if that's true. I think all you really had to do is have Obama sit down with him and say a few things to him, and the guy would fade off. Because the real quest of history here is going to be how much more did he do, and it could be endless.
Well, Obama knew all of the opposition research on Joe Biden with his 100 years in Washington.
And how much did Obama participate?
Yeah,
I mean, the government is as thoroughly up and down across the board, terrorist sympathetic. It is corrupt, and they offer no process for reform, so no hope.
The other biggest lie, Mr. Mayor, in Chicago, Chicagoans don't really love Barack Obama. You made this point in an earlier segment, because when he became president, he abandoned this city, and he only showed up for photo ops.
Yes, yeah. I mean, this city was way too small for the Prince of the Universe, who I think is Klaus Schwab's number one choice to be head of the one world government, because he knows he's so anti-American. He can count on him. So let's switch gears for just a moment. How does Trump resonate? Let's look at the Trump side of it. Harris has been catching up somewhat. Trump is still running the same kind of campaign. How do you see him changing it to deal with this campaign of joy and checks?
You hold rallies in some of these major cities in these swing states where all they see is starvation and death and destruction, and highlight that this is all the doing of the Democratic Party. I call Kamala Harris the original Sputnik. She always has a strong start but a terrible finish, and her presidential campaign is a perfect example of that in 2019. If you remember, she came in as one of the top-tier candidates. She was raising a ton of money. She was at 12%, and then the American people heard from her. And then the American people heard her try and defend her record, her far-left, extreme, progressive liberal record, and they didn't like it. And she dropped to 5%, then she dropped to 3%. Her money dried up, and then she dropped out of the presidential race. I mean, only 3% of Democratic voters wanted Kamala Harris as their nominee in 2020. So I think what President Trump does, keep her out on the campaign trail, keep her off script, and eventually Sputnik will come down and Sputnik will crash.
Yeah, I think she's easy to figure out on how to get ready for a debate preparation and even for an acceptance speech preparation. But I do think it's quite obvious that they're going to do something with that if they have to. And the interesting thing is the Post has this article with Barry Obama's picture in it and Hillary's demonstrators. He's quite happy about it at that point.
Well, you remember his first major speech, foreign policy speech, when he was elected president, he traveled around the world. It was an apology tour.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're very sorry for our colonialism. Like the colonialism we had in France, where we left our men on the beaches of Normandy dead and didn't take an inch of land. Yeah, he's not the most effective speaker with regard to good things here the U.S. has done. But we're kind of stuck with him. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to check on where the convention is, what they're doing, and what we can expect tonight from the first or second gentleman. I don't know what the proper call is for him. He's the guy who impregnated his nanny. Never really talked about it. I don't know if the nanny's the kid's alive or dead, but so either Kamala is not a mother of any kind, or she's a stepmother. But I think we should know that. Do we have a president who's she's never given natural birth? She's big proponent of abortion. I mean, I guess why not, right? Although they do get all angry that men have views on abortion and they can't give birth. Does that apply to women who don't give birth? Do they have no right to say anything about it? Also, I really would like to avoid a Navy Biden situation in this White House. So we wonder, is Kamala going to recognize the daughter of her first gentleman? A lot to this administration. Wait until we get into Walls. I mean, Walls could be part of those early shows on television with the FBI catching a Chinese spy. We'll be back very shortly.
Hello, everybody. It's Mike Lindell live from Chicago for the Democrat National Convention. We're here with Frank Speech, and for $2, you get exclusive wall-to-wall coverage of everything going on in here in Chicago, including myself going in disguise, shaving off my mustache. You're going to have all the footage right here. You're going to get an email with notice of that when we're going inside the Democrat Convention in disguise. So sign up now, and it's going to be a blast. Hello, Mike Lindell here, and I'm welcoming you to the world of precious metals. Congratulations on taking that first step in getting your financial house in order. I think you're making a very smart decision with this, one that could protect not only you and your savings from an unstable world, but your family as well. So go ahead and fill in the information form on this page, and you're going to get a prompt phone call from one of Gold Coast's precious metal specialists. They're going to verify your information. Then you're going to get a free 2024 gold and silver kit sent directly to your doorstep. There's no shipping, no hassle, no nothing. Just a free information kit to help you learn more about the power of precious metals like gold and silver. I want you to do your own research like I did. You're going to be amazed about what precious metals can do for you. I'm excited to be partnering with Goldco. They're an amazing company with an impressive track record. And because you're a fan of mine, Goldco is also going to fill you in on details of how you can qualify for a 10% instant match in bonus silver on qualified orders. Plus a 1/2 ounce silver Ronald Reagan coin absolutely free for qualified callers. That's right, absolutely free. I mean, it's really a great offer. So congratulations again on taking the first step to protecting and diversifying your savings. Thanks for watching the show, and I'll see you again soon. God bless.
This is Rudy Giuliani, and I am broadcasting to you from the city of joy, the city with the joyous communist convention. Communists used to call their conventions the Internationale. So I would describe this as the first official American Internationale. We have a pure-blood communist on the ticket. We have the daughter of a pure-blood communist on the ticket. That's pretty good, who makes a pretty good pretense of being a communist. We have, to the extent that we have policies, because these people don't have policies, they have feelings. You know, what's the program, what's this convention about? It's about joy. Joy, a person? Joy, the feeling? Or joy, just bullshit? No, it's the third. So we're going to get another report from our traveling troublemakers, former El Mustachio, Mike and Ted. But before we do, I'll begin because you've got two main speakers tonight. You've got Bill Clinton, who, of course, in his day was one of the great speakers. And then we have Tampon Tim Walz, who I have no idea whether he's a great speaker or not. He's a terrible governor. He was a cowardly soldier. He was a lying football coach, claimed he was the head coach and he wasn't. And he was a lying drunk. So that's a hell of a thing. And then the guy before him, I know he was the president of the United States. You know what a degenerate bum he was, right? Now, Bill's a friend of mine. I played golf with him. He cheated like crazy. He can't, I mean, the guy is completely, thoroughly, there isn't an honest bone in his body. There is not an honest bone in his body. I'm going to tell you a story about him, and I don't feel as strongly about it as she did, but a lot of people do. I gave the annual lecture at the Reagan Library, had to be in 1998, or it's about the time that Clinton had to reveal that he was getting a fellatio in the Oval Office. At times while on the telephone with the congressman from a young woman who worked for him, which even in that day would have gotten you fired from any major position in American business. And it was a regular thing where she would give him oral sex. They claim, I believe they claim, it never got further than that, but it did involve at least 3 occasions in which he was doing that while he was conducting government business. I don't know. That's a really complex thing to analyze. Exactly what is that, et cetera, et cetera.
He's got to get on Zoom.
Here we go now. We've got somebody trying to get in here, but we'll see in a minute if he gets in. So Bill, when Bill was accused of these things by the young lady, he denied it. Or let's put it this way, he lied. Not only did he lie, he did something worse than lying. He then went ahead and did everything he could for 6 months with the help of Lady Macbeth, that's Mrs. Clinton, to destroy the woman's character. Now, Lady Macbeth says she didn't know that it was true. Now, of course, that's as big a lie as everything else she's ever said. The woman who destroyed 32,000 emails and didn't go to jail. Because she'd been living with him for years, and all she'd ever have to do all throughout his political career is destroy and attack the women who were claiming that he was impregnating them or raping them or attacking them, and it was a shitload of them. I mean, like a lot. I've met them. Some of them met the woman who was raped by him. There's not a question about this. You just go to Arizona and ask anybody in Arizona. I mean, the joke in Arizona is half the kids in Arizona look like Bill Clinton. Hillary didn't care. I don't know why Hillary didn't care. Was she more interested in power? Does she have a different view of sex or orientation? And I don't know. But she obviously let her husband do what no other wife would ever let her husband do. He didn't have an affair. He didn't have a couple of affairs. He was prolific throughout the state of Arkansas, became president and couldn't stop. And then, of course, it degenerated itself into him disgracing the Oval Office. And then he lied about it. And then he did what he did all throughout his campaign with a bunch of crazy, nutty Democrats who act like communists, which is they can do anything they want because it's the greater good. They set up the Bimbo Squad, in which they proceeded to destroy the reputation of 30 to 35 women who had made claims of sexual misconduct on the part of Clinton. Clinton had the support of the feminists, by the way, who the feminist groups, as a group, have to be the biggest anti-women groups ever established, by the way. Unless it's a left-wing woman with a tremendous motive usually to lie, who tells a story that's almost fanciful, they don't support you. Look at the one who claims that Biden attacked her. You don't even know she exists. So this guy's going to get up tonight, and he's going to be a great hero of the Democrat Party. So when I gave this lecture at the Reagan Library, I knew Mrs. Reagan fairly well from being in the administration because I worked for the president. I'd written speeches for him, and I've gotten to know her. But she walked in. She greeted me in what is the replica of the Oval Office, and she said, without anything else, first she said, "Thank you very, very much for doing this, and thank you for what you've done as mayor, because you bring honor to my husband, who you work for." I said, "Well, Mrs. Reagan, it's much deeper than that. He brings honor to me because I copy him. You want to talk about plagiarism? I plagiarized Ronald Reagan. I had 2 strikes. My response to the strikes was, go ahead, strike. I'll replace you." The reason is I was his lawyer during that. I watched it work, and I apply it. I follow him constantly with the New York Times. I read it every day, and then I do the opposite. And it's been very successful for me. I think I had already been reelected by a one of the largest margins a Republican ever received in New York. And I said, and this is not, I'm not just saying this to you, but I've said it for 5 years. I just copy Ronald Reagan. If it's applicable to a city situation, I say to myself, what would Ronald Reagan do? He would tell the taxi drivers who want to go on strike, fine, we're going to get rid of your contract, we're going to fire every single one of you, and we're going to hire all the black cab drivers. And then they would come back to work. I had 2 threatened strikes over only mayor never to have a strike. I may be the only mayor never to have a riot. Could be. A lot of it due to Ronald Reagan. So all of a sudden, as I'm telling you this, she said, I know a mayor that I know, and your speech is brilliant. The theme of the speech was an argument that the greatest president who set the politics of the first part of the 20th century was Franklin Roosevelt, and the one who did it for the second part of the 20th century for America and the world was Ronald Reagan, who is in the pantheon of one of the few presidents who is a liberator. Think about it. Washington, of course, was a liberator, but before he was president. Lincoln was a liberator. He liberated the slaves, and he liberated a lot of other things. To be liberated the slaves. And Franklin Roosevelt, with whom I have tremendous disagreements, was a liberator. He liberated Europe. And Ronald Reagan liberated Eastern Europe. Presidents have done small liberations, but not massive, nationwide, bringing of freedom to people. To me, that's one of the great things a president can achieve, because he achieves the full value of what our founding fathers wanted out of America. They didn't just want an America that was free. They wanted a world that was free. The communists wanted a world that is oppressed by cruelty, meanness, and hundreds of millions of murders. We want a world that is free, governed by, don't get nervous now, those of you who are atheists, God-given human rights. So she said to me, you know, Mr. Mayor, I just can't help saying to you, you know Ronnie never disgraced this office. I said to myself, why did she say that to me? What she was saying to me was, he didn't have sex in the Oval Office. That's what he was saying to me. That this trailer trash character in the White House, who started as a trailer trash, take anything you can with your trailer trash wife, pennies in bribes, with the wife working for a law firm, selling out this, selling out that, screwing everything that moved in Arkansas, then took it up to the White House, sold the Lincoln bedroom with McAuliffe, who we thank for the whole revolution for parents, for saying the jackass thing that he said when he ran. And then, of course, they became world-class international shysters with the Clinton Foundation. Go talk to the New York Haitian cab drivers about who got all the money for the Haitians that got killed. And I tell you, I hope I gave a good speech. It really affected my speech. It really did. I did not support the impeachment of Clinton, of Bill Clinton. I didn't support the impeachment of Clinton because I thought it was just a little bit too far out of the impeachment realm. It was immorality, not a ground for impeachment, and it was lying, not enough for impeachment. Impeachment, it says high crimes and misdemeanors. But you see, I'm an honest man, rare in politics, certainly non-existent on the Democratic side. And when that same standard was applied to my friend Donald Trump, I ran to his defense, because he did nothing any more serious than that, if he did anything at all. If you read the Federalist Papers, It's for very, very serious things. The kinds of things the Bidens did, like taking money from China, taking money from Ukraine, taking money from Russia. Or the kinds of things that Hillary Clinton did, like destroying emails, destroying confidential communications, paying $1 million to frame someone for a crime they didn't commit. These are the things people go to jail for. Inappropriate sex that should get you fired from your job. I never prosecute anybody for that. Or even lying about it. Never prosecute anybody for that. So is Mike ready to come on? I just got a little. Well, you. Anytime you got Mike, you got me.
Hey, here I am. I don't have to wear the glasses anymore. They're on to me here at the DNC. My voice gave it away, Mayor. We've been attacked over the last hour. I did have a little breather there. I met two guys from Minnesota, but they were both far left liberals, and I beat them in every argument because I lived there, and so did they. I go, how do you explain this with Walt? How do you explain this with Walt? And it was going. And then the one guy just met this Harry Sissy or whatever his name is, Harry Cistern or something like that. He just came up and attacked me again, and I said, you know, the Democrats, including Amy Klobuchar, the senator from Minnesota, and Kamala Harris, and wanted the machines gone long before Republicans, and he goes, that's a lie. That's a lie. I said, watch the movie Kill Chain. Oh, when did that come out? I go, 2019. There's over 50 Democrats in there saying that these machines have, and Amy Klobuchar even names them, everybody. She says 4 machine companies are controlling our election. And she names Smartmatic, Dominion, ES&S, and Hart. She names them. And I go to the guy, and Harry, she didn't get sued for billions of dollars. What do you make of that? He goes, she never said she wanted to get rid of the machine. We love the machine. That's what he said to me. I go, and then I just said, he just got upset, swore at me a couple times.
We love the machines?
Yeah, that's what he said. We love the machine. I
Gotta
said,
be a weirdo.
What do you do, huh? Unbelievable. But I told him, and then he goes, just get out of here. And he goes, why are you here anyway? And I said, I'm trying to make the awareness of what we're doing tomorrow on Frank's speech. I said, we're going to bring in Democrats that have seen the light, that have voted for Biden right here in Chicago, that are now voting for Donald Trump, and there'll be reasons why. These guys, you can't, I'll tell you what, I've never seen so many people that are either depressed, joyless, or angry, just angry. And they're angry with me, and I go, and then they're lying. I know they got my pillows. I know they do, Mayor. I know they got my pillows. They can't lie to me. Everybody realized up until 2017, I sold more pillows or as many on CNN and MSNBC as I did on Fox. So these guys all are sleeping on my pillow. Some of them are going, they're buying them in secret. They're buying them in secret. They probably use a fake name. That's probably when they talk to their Republican sister or brother and say, hey, would you order me a My Pillow? I don't want my name on the list.
Hey, Mike, you're having too much fun.
Yeah, everybody. By the way, everybody, use your good promo code Rudy there. You can save while you're out there watching this great show.
And think about it, you'll be the first one on your block to get a My Pillow from Mike without his mustache.
Mike without his mustache. You could be the first one.
Non-mustachio.
I like what Dr. Maria said earlier. She said, and maybe it was you that said it. Maybe the box stores won't know when we go back in, huh?
That was Dr. Maria. Okay. She said you're going to confuse them. You look so young and handsome.
Yeah. Well, that's I'll tell you, my voice. So you would be surprised that people would walk like this. Where is he? Where is he?
Really? Were they telling each other you were there and then coming and trying to find you?
The word has spread. Absolutely, the word has spread. I just took my glasses off. I know that now they know the white hat, and I could probably take that up. But we're already here. We accomplished the goal. Everything's going viral out there about Frank's speech. We want everybody to watch Frank's speech tomorrow because now you're going to hear the truth.
So
what time?
Tell people what time it. Tell people what time it starts tomorrow.
You guys, 2 noon Central Time, everybody. It goes from noon till p.m. Central.
Noon until when?
6 p.m. tomorrow night Central
Okay.
Time. We're having 6 hours of these Democrats coming in. You guys, and you're not going to want to miss this. This is what I came here, shaved my mustache up for. We've got to get the word out about Frank's speech and get everybody all eyes on this. I've been telling all these left-wing media here that's what they got to do tomorrow, and maybe they'll come there just to watch, and maybe it'll educate them. We've got to educate the people. These people, I can't believe, Mayor, how the mainstream media or any media has brainwashed them. They have hate. I've seen a couple that just absolutely hate me. For what? I go, because I want paper ballots hand counted like the Democrats do. What do you mean? We don't want what you want. We don't want what you want. We love the machines. No, you don't. You're lying. You just,
Nope.
I can say up and they say down. You know, we say good, they say evil.
No, you can say wall, they can say no wall. It's just like with Trump, right?
That's right.
Right. They were all in favor of the wall. Schumer, Pelosi, the whole group.
Yeah, that's right. I did say, the guy said to me, the last interviewer said, he was kind of smart. He goes, I said, Kamala, I said, she wanted paper ballots hand counted. Amy Klobuchar, and I started listing them. And he goes, so you do have something in common with Kamala. And I go, absolutely, I would agree with her that we have to go to paper ballots hand counted. In fact, that might be the only thing she could run on. But everybody knows that she's lying, because just like she lied that she would help the wall, she'd be right there. Her last name could be Dominion for all I know. You know, she does whatever she wants. Like a great real president says, if she has to be this, she's that. So whatever she is, if she was on stage there and she thought it would get her vote, she'd say, the machines, I love the machine. If it wasn't it, paper ballots hand counted. It's wherever the wind blows with that woman.
Is she back now? I mean, is Obama gone and she's back? Because it looked like she didn't want to be in town when Obama was in town.
I don't know. We haven't
Or
even
maybe it was
asked those
Mrs.
kind of
Obama.
questions. Yeah, I don't even know. We haven't even asked those kind of questions. They've been finding us, and they're usually the violent ones, the ones that are really. They think that I'm gonna leave because hey, that kid just beat you in a debate, Mike. He made you look bad. I'm going, I don't care. I mean, you're talking about a guy that sat in a claw machine, shaved his mustache, and is at the Democrat convention. You think I care if I get embarrassed? I don't. You're not going to embarrass me out of here. You know, the one guy yelled at the top of his lungs, there's Mike Lindell. He financed January 6th. I said, God bless you. I will pray for you, my son. Unbelievable. I'll tell you, this place needs a lot of prayer.
What did you have? You had
prayer.
nothing to do with January 6th.
I know, it was crazy talk. I go, no, buddy. I said, I have
They
to
think
do
everybody-
the aftermath of that.
They think
I said,
everybody
I have
involved with Trump was involved with. Yeah. Look, we weren't involved in January 6th because Nancy Pelosi never invited us.
Yeah, do you know, Mayor, that no, that's exactly right. Do you know, Mayor, I begged the media, I begged it on TV. I said, Pelosi, I would love to come to your January 6th charade and testify. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't bring me. When they stopped me at Hardee's in Minnesota and took my cell phone, the FBI, I told them, I said, I'm not giving you my cell phone. I said, I want to be arrested. I want to go to that January 6th thing. And the committee. And then, you know what they said? Well, Mike, we're not those FBI guys. I said, well, call those FBI guys out and get me up to that January 6th committee. I want to testify. I sat there for 2 hours with them. I witnessed to them, told them about Jesus Christ, and then they finally go, Mike, we got to go. We have things to do. I said, you track me all day to my hunting thing and see that I hunt my buddy. Track me for 6 hours, and you're telling me you got to go? No.
Do you have your cross on?
Yes, I got my cross on here.
They didn't make you. They didn't make you give it up at the. They didn't make you give it up at the entrance.
No. I tucked it in just to get in, and then I took it out and said, "Oh, I made it, baby."
Oh boy, you got a cross in there, boy. I don't know.
Yeah. They'll tell you well, there was one guy that just came up. He says, "I've heard you talking about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ." He said, "I have never heard anybody talk like that in here." And this guy he just was keeping quiet over in the corner, and he came up after they attacked me and said that. I thought that was good. There's a few people in here.
Looks like they have a little
people in here that there's hope.
Looks like they have a little Satan worship back there. You see
Yeah,
that?
they probably do.
A little Satan worship. Maybe you bring the cross over. You can.
Yeah, well, have Ted blaze a trail here, and I'll come behind him. He's good at going right through the crowd. You should see him.
I'm here for you.
I'll tell you what, he chases down people.
I want to wait.
You sir.
I'm waiting for you to come back because I think there are a lot of good stories.
Oh, they are?
Yep, I know they are. I bet there are a lot more than you can tell on TV.
Oh, that absolutely. Well,
maybe we'll get them out of you tomorrow too.
Yeah, I think we're going to be leaving. I don't know. Ted Keefe wants to get complex down here, but I'll take good care of him, Mayor. We'll get back on here. We'll go look for we're going to try and get down to the main floor. We'll see what happens. Then that'll get us kicked out.
Yeah, well, you could do one nice thing. Check the lobby and the areas there. Make sure the little girls are secure because Bill Clinton's coming in.
Yeah, that is true.
Make sure the little girls are secure. Okay.
Right. Yeah. We will check. We'll check around.
We don't want any of them taken to the to the room, and you know what used to happen.
Right. Well, I think remember Biden was here with the hair thing a few days ago. Probably scared him. That probably scared them all away right there. It's disgusting what goes on down here. But anyway, we'll check back with you. There's something big going on. Everybody's going in now. I wonder if we can get in there, Chad. Something must be happening. They're moving.
Uh-oh.
But I'll tell you one. I'll tell you one last thing.
Must be a big communist showing up.
Yeah, exactly. I want to say, and I'll say it again. I have never seen. I mean, there's people sitting on the steps, just depressed. There's wearing a mask over there. Just sadness in their eyes. It's unbelievable. The sadness here. It's not just. It's almost like you're going through emotional mud. Like it's just a combination of sadness, depression, hopelessness. If you don't have Jesus Christ, where's the hope? If they're not sitting there, if their hope lies in their elections, honestly, someone like Kamala Harris and Waltz, it's over.
Looking behind you, it looks like a group of bored people.
Yeah,
that guy the guy behind you doesn't know where he is. He's walking all around in circles.
Yeah. That's the other thing too. It's a lot of confusion. You don't see.
No, everyone says it's very poorly. This is true. Everyone has said it's very poorly organized. But
yes, and there's no. You don't see any signs or pins or anything. You see it on the walls. You got to look hard for us to see a wall that has Harris and Waltz on. If you walked in here and you didn't see the signs on the walls, you would not know.
I see a big sign for AT&T.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That. I got a story about those. They are horrible, horrible left, evil company. They're right up there with the best of them. The best evil companies there are. There's AT&T. This disgusting company. I'll probably get sued for that too.
Well, keep in touch.
But I got stories of AT&T. I'll have to do that on the show one of these nights.
All right. Well, you check in again very soon. Thanks, Mike.
Okay. All right. We'll see you, Mayor.
All right. I don't know. I think he's having too much fun. What do you think, guys? Everybody here? You think he's having too much fun? I think he's having too much fun. He's going to come back with a hell of a lot of stories, I tell you. Well, I'm going to take a short break as we absorb that, and then we'll continue. We'll continue with the tale of the moral leader of the Democratic Party, William Jefferson Clinton.
Hello, everybody. It's Mike Lindell live from Chicago for the Democrat National Convention. We're here with Frank Speech, and for $2, you get exclusive wall-to-wall coverage of everything going on in here in Chicago, including myself going in disguise, shaving off my mustache. You're going to have all the footage right here. You're going to get an email with notice of that when we're going inside the Democrat Convention in disguise. So sign up now, and it's going to be a blast. Hello, Mike Lindell here, and I'm welcoming you to the world of precious metals. Congratulations on taking that first step in getting your financial house in order. I think you're making a very smart decision with this, one that could protect not only you and your savings from an unstable world, but your family as well. So go ahead and fill in the information form on this page, and you're going to get a prompt phone call from one of Gold Coast's precious metal specialists. They're going to verify your information. Then you're going to get a free 2024 gold and silver kit sent directly to your doorstep. There's no shipping, no hassle, no nothing. Just a free information kit to help you learn more about the power of precious metals like gold and silver. I want you to do your own research like I did. You're going to be amazed about what precious metals can do for you. I'm excited to be partnering with Goldco. They're an amazing company with an impressive track record. And because you're a fan of mine, Goldco is also going to fill you in on details of how you can qualify for a 10% instant match in bonus silver on qualified orders. Plus, a 1/2 ounce silver Ronald Reagan coin absolutely free for qualified callers. That's right, absolutely free. I mean, it's really a great offer. So congratulations again on taking the first step to protecting and diversifying your savings. Thanks for watching the show, and I'll see you again soon. God bless.
Welcome back. I'm trying to make an objective evaluation of Mike in this sense. I looked at the people back of him while he was talking quite a bit. And, you know, he said they're sad and they're upset and they're doing this joy thing. This morning, if you listen to morning television and you listen to the communist news networks, the 14 or 15 of them, there wasn't a single one of them that didn't finish even a 3-minute soundbite without saying, Kamala Harris brings joy to the Democratic Party. Things are joyful now. Oh, it's so joyful. It's joyful, 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 joyful. That was the word of the day put out by the word control commissar for all rigid communists who had to repeat that. So they repeated it all, joy, 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 joy. Now, Mike reports that they seem very depressed and very upset and not particularly happy. There are a couple of reports leaking out, because this is a very well-controlled, Pravda-like operation with the press, just in case Pravda was the news organization that ran the news for the Soviets. And it was completely restrictive and just put out what the Soviets wanted you to hear, like NBC, and for Biden. So it is coming out that the convention is very confused. People don't know where they're supposed to go. There's one food place that was supposed to be for high, and they forgot to bring the food. Now, this is very typical Democrat execution because they don't know how to manage. We've talked about this before. There is, it's absolutely true. A liberal ideology makes you unrealistic. Being unrealistic makes you a very poor manager. It's very simple. I'm not going to even spend time on it. We'll spend time on it some other time when we're in non-convention time. But it's really true. And it's, if you look at the American cities that Trump today leveled, Trump just went through all of them. And I really want to thank him because I love cities. I wouldn't have been a mayor if I didn't love cities. And I really do think that we can't save America without saving American cities because civilizations are defined by cities. And please, if you're agricultural or you're rural or suburban, don't get angry at me. I'm just making a historical fact. People don't remember the suburbs of Rome. People don't remember the suburbs of Athens. Please. I know most of the people that we talk to now that come out of school aren't educated. They don't even know what Rome and Athens is, but we are educated and we have to learn from history. So Clinton's going to speak now, and they're going to put up there a role model. That's a freaking disaster. I mean, here's a guy that lied his way through being attorney general, lied his way through being governor, took bribes like crazy as governor, had a bimbo squad that had to attack 30 women or so he could become president. I met with one of the women that he raped. It's a horrible story. When Trump was accused by Bush of those statements, locker room statements where they said dirty things about women. The point that this woman who, I think it was Juanita Broderick, the point that this woman, Juanita Broderick, made is, I don't know if President Trump said or didn't say those things, but there's one heck of a lot of difference between men saying dirty things and men attacking and raping women. This man attacked and raped me. Now, that was a highly credible allegation. It was nothing like the most ridiculous allegation ever in the history of the world about Trump doing it basically in Madison Square Garden in front of everybody. A complete contrived political thing. So the Democrats accuse you of what they do. Plus, I'm telling you, I'll take you on a trip to Little Rock, and I will within 1 hour pick you out 25 kids that look like Bill Clinton, no question about it. Right? They look like him, and they all say, "I feel your pain." That's their come on line. The ones now that are trolling around like he did. I feel your pain. Or the better one was when he would send the troopers down into the crowd and say, the governor would like to meet with you. In other words, troopers used as pimps. Or the Lincoln bedroom sold by McAuliffe. Or the guy who committed, the first one that committed suicide, that was involved with Hillary and had all the papers for all of the bribery they did when she was in government with him. He just decided to jump in the river, just for the hell of it. Or the guy that got killed a couple of days after it was revealed that somebody smashed up the hard drive for Hillary. At the time, they got rid of the 32,000 emails, and she was revealed to have told 37 different lies and come up with $1 million for a phony story. The guy got shot and killed. Nobody ever found whoever did it. And nobody in that neighborhood in the next couple of months got killed. It wasn't like a big wave of killings of young kids walking out of their door just at a time in which they were in the middle of one of the most major crime investigations in the history of America. So that's the guy that's going to show up tonight. It's the guy who sold out Israel to Arafat, who used to spend all his time with the guy who killed 27 Americans and started the two-nation solution, which is completely self-destructive. Because you got to start with the fact that the two nations can live with each other before you can create them. You can't put one nation next to another that has vowed to destroy the other nation. Then, in the interest of your own country, which Democrats never think of, you don't try to create a nation that, as a secondary matter, after it destroys Israel, wants to destroy you. Not unless getting the Peace Prize is more important to you than the good of your country and the safety of your citizens, because you are a narcissistic pig. And then you don't sell out the people of Haiti, who, if you sent the Clintons there, nobody could protect them. You talk to a Haitian sometime about the horrible thing that the Clintons did to the poorest nation in this hemisphere. I know Haiti really well. I was going to be a Montfort missionary priest there. And it has the worst poverty in this hemisphere. This hemisphere's poverty is nothing like on the other side of the world, except for Haiti. So that's going to be the first model. Bill, morally decrepit, embarrassment to the presidency, embarrassment to the Oval Office, quote, one of our greatest first ladies, to speak to the Internationale. Exactly what Marx would have selected. A degenerate, broken down, old creep. And I have even mentioned Epstein. 27 trips, Bill, on the plane. You didn't notice the little girls. What do? Hide them in the bathrooms. Oh, I'm not saying you were involved with them. You didn't know about it. 27 trips on the plane. Well, he didn't take little girls when he took you. Have you ever been asked about it? Oh, no, you're a Democrat. You're a Democrat. My goodness, they have even much stronger evidence of child pornography against Hunter Biden. Never asked him about it, right? Or the stumble bum in the White House who likes little girls touching his legs. What, do you guys all got a problem? Did you ever think about adults? But I don't know, Bill. I mean, I'm not saying you were with little girls. I'm saying you spent an inordinate amount of time being a buddy, and you know the word when we talk in the locker room that we put before buddy, right? I'm not going to use it. This is just for locker room guys. Bill's a locker room guy. He knows what I'm talking about. The guy was your buddy. He was pimping out little girls for a living. Constantly. He had a whole island to pimp out little girls to some of the biggest perverts and degenerates in the world. And you traveled with him on that plane, we know, 27 times. And you lied about it, which is a false exculpatory statement. How many times really was it, Bill? You're a pretty damn observant guy. I mean, I look at this one of two ways. There's no doubt you knew about it. Did you participate, or because you're such a degenerate, you really just didn't care? But it wasn't your thing. I'm willing to accept the second part. I don't think that makes you a much better man. So then we follow that with Comrade Walls. Wow. Jesus, Karl Marx couldn't have put together a better script than this for the moral degeneracy of the United States and the complete destruction of any kind of decency, honor. Here we have a guy that goes on his first trip to China, sponsored by Harvard. Might as well be sponsored by the Red Chinese local support association. And you like it so much that you write at one point, it was the greatest vacation you ever spent in your life in China. You were there during Tiananmen Square, which, in case people don't understand what it was a massive slaughter of Chinese people seeking freedom. They were run over by cars, they were shot, they were killed. They were taken into prison, they were tortured. It was so bad that even the UN had to step in and finally calm it down, and then they, instead of doing 1,000 a day, they got it down to 100 a day. It was also a country that required that you could only have one child, and if one of those extra children ended up being a girl, they generally killed it. They have participated in numerous genocides, the Uyghurs being the most recent, Christians on and off. This is all a matter of absolute truth. Yet you went there and you returned 30 times teaching for them. You went there bringing over children to understand China. Understand what about China? That socialism, that one man's socialism is another man's another man's neighborliness? Is that what you taught them? That's what you taught them about China? seems kind of inconsistent. You would teach that and also teach that the neighborliness in China extends to the fact that they kill more of their own people than any group within the modern world. Red China has killed, 80 million people. There's nobody close. Most countries aren't even big enough to kill that many people. And you're telling them that they're neighborly? That socialism is neighborly? Neighborly means killing your population? Or are you saying that because you're an apologist for China, otherwise known as a brainwasher, which we know from even Hunter Biden's hard drive, and I know from history, and I know from doing intelligence work in the 70s and 80s, China specializes in turning Americans. I mean, China probably has more defenders in this country than America does. Defenders meaning if you say something bad about China, they're all over the newspapers. Witness President Trump saying it was the Chinese virus. My God, you would think he you would think he had oral sex with a young girl in the Oval Office. There was such a reaction. He was a xenophobe, a racist. That's the way we refer to viruses by the country they come from. When he changed it to Wuhan, that wasn't much better either, was it? But that would be the general way you would describe it, right? West Nile virus. Why? Because it came from the West Nile. Oh, xenophobia. I didn't hear xenophobia when Bill Clinton referred to it as West Nile virus. The reason that happened is because there is a organized, brilliantly organized communist organization in this country that stands up like a chorus and attacks for China. They are recruited, and they're operatives of the Red Chinese. Walls is clearly, without any doubt, one of them. And that statement, that neighborly statement, which everybody laughs at, that's solid proof that that's what he does. Because no intelligent human being would say that who's been to China 30 times. Nor would they say it was their best vacation, unless you are an apologist for China. If his best vacation was in China, I want to examine his other vacations. And I want to do it because he's an extraordinarily dangerous man. He's an operative for Red China. And he's exactly the answer to what you ask me all the time. How did this happen to our school children? Tampon Tim is how it happened to our school children. Not him alone, but thousands of him. Recruited through the Communist Teachers Union and taught to teach them communism, which includes hatred of the United States. You want to read Marx on how you have to destroy a country's history, on how you have to destroy a country's heroes. You think the burning down of those statues was accidental? Or you think it was part of a well-executed plot to destroy the United States of America? You think Wall's glee and joy over the destruction of the statue of Columbus was he just doesn't like Italians? Meanwhile, it didn't matter that they burned down hundreds and hundreds of buildings. I mean, so now we're going to have on stage operative of the Red Chinese government, a deserter, a coward, a man who walked out on his National Guard unit. When I said coward, please don't quote me, quote his minister who called him that, and his fellow officers, or his number one superior who says he slithered around him and got out above his head at a time that was critical because these men were trained by him and depended on him, two of whom died. and describes him again, along with the minister who's long gone. I think he's living in North Dakota, as the biggest coward he's ever dealt with. That reflected itself because cowards remain cowards. When the city of Minneapolis was burning, and he sat back and watched it burn and burn and burn. We will take a short break.
Hello, everybody. It's Mike Lindell live from Chicago for the Democrat National Convention. We're here with Frank Speech, and for $2, you get exclusive wall-to-wall coverage of everything going on in here, Chicago, including myself going in disguise, shaving off my mustache. You're going to have all the footage right here. You're going to get an email with notice of that when we're going inside the Democrat Convention in disguise. So sign up now, and it's going to be a blast. Hello, Mike Lindell here, and I'm welcoming you to the world of precious metals. Congratulations on taking that first step in getting your financial house in order. I think you're making a very smart decision with this, one that could protect not only you and your savings from an unstable world, but your family as well. So go ahead and fill in the information form on this page, and you're going to get a prompt phone call from one of Gold Coast's precious metal specialists. They're going to verify your information. Then you're going to get a free 2024 gold and silver kit sent directly to your doorstep. There's no shipping, no hassle, no nothing. Just a free information kit to help you learn more about the power of precious metals like gold and silver. I want you to do your own research like I did. You're going to be amazed about what precious metals can do for you. I'm excited to be partnering with Goldco. They're an amazing company with an impressive track record. And because you're a fan of mine, Goldco is also going to fill you in on details of how you can qualify for a 10% instant match in bonus silver on qualified orders. Plus, a 1/2 ounce silver Ronald Reagan coin absolutely free for qualified callers. That's right, absolutely free. I mean, it's really a great offer. So congratulations again on taking the Goldco. They're an amazing company with an impressive track record. And because you're a fan of mine, Goldco is also going to fill you in on details of how you can qualify for a 10% instant match in bonus silver on qualified orders. Plus, a 1/2 ounce silver Ronald Reagan coin absolutely free for qualified callers. That's right, absolutely free. I mean, it's really a great offer. So congratulations again on taking the first step to protecting and diversifying your savings. Thanks for watching the show, and I'll see you again soon. God bless.
Hi, I'm Joe, Supreme Leader of DCF. What is DCF, you ask? We're the best damn sandwich shop in the universe. Do we sell hoagies? Well, we're DCF, and the F doesn't stand for hoagies. We got 9mm sandwiches. We got beastly baguettes, and we toast buns like no other. Looking for training on bun safety? We got you covered, and our ranges are the best place to test out your new not sandwich. So get your buns out, because the sun's out, and let's party!
Hello, everybody. It's Mike Lindell live from Chicago for the Democrat National Convention. We're here with Frank Speech, and for $2, you get exclusive wall-to-wall coverage of everything going on in here, Chicago, including myself going in disguise, shaving off my mustache. You're going to have all the footage right here. You're going to get an email with notice of that when we're going inside the Democrat Convention in disguise. So sign up now, and it's going to be a blast. Hello, Mike Lindell here, and I'm welcoming you to the world of precious metals. Congratulations on taking that first step in getting your financial house in order. I think you're making a very smart decision with this, one that could protect not only you and your savings from an unstable world, but your family as well. So go ahead and fill in the information form on this page, and you're going to get a prompt phone call from one of Gold Coast's precious metal specialists. They're going to verify your information. Then you're going to get a free 2024 gold and silver kit sent directly to your doorstep. There's no shipping, no hassle, no nothing. Just a free information kit to help you learn more about the power of precious metals like gold and silver. I want you to do your own research like I did. You're going to be amazed about what precious metals can do for you. I'm excited to be partnering with Goldco. They're an amazing company with an impressive track record. And because you're a fan of mine, Goldco is also going to fill you in on details of how you can qualify for a 10% instant match in bonus silver on qualified orders. Plus a 1/2 ounce silver Ronald Reagan coin absolutely free for qualified callers. That's right, absolutely free. I mean, it's really a great offer. So congratulations again on taking the first step to protecting and diversifying your savings. Thanks for watching the show, and I'll see you again soon. God bless.
Hi, I'm Joe, Supreme Leader of DCF. What is DCF, you ask? We're the best damn sandwich shop in the universe. Do we sell hoagies? Well, we're DCF, and the F doesn't stand for hoagies. We got 9mm sandwiches. We got beastly baguettes, and we toast buns like no other. Looking for training on bun safety? We got you covered, and our ranges are the best place to test out your new not sandwich. So get your buns out, because the sun's out, and let's party! We're not actually a sandwich shop.
Welcome back with our continuing discussion and coverage of the Democrat convention. Today we feature, I guess, several of the more dishonorable members of the Democrat Party. Bill Clinton, who used the Oval Office for oral sex, lied constantly, took massive amounts of money for the Clinton Foundation, and also set us on the wrong course in Israel by buying the two-state solution from Yasser Arafat and giving Yasser Arafat billions of dollars without any accountability. We wonder about that. Then we finish up with Comrade Walls, who to me is about as clearly described as a Chinese, red Chinese operative as you can find. I mean, the statements that he's made is 30 trips. Only a Chinese operative would say that one man's socialism is another man's neighborliness, unless you consider neighborliness killing 80 million of your own people. So that will be the two dishonorable human beings who represent the Democratic Party in front of their First Internationale, which, as I described to you, is a gathering of communists. So, Joe, you're going to take it the rest of the way with the two enjoyable speeches from these two.
Why do I not feel like this is a fun honor? First you had Hillary Clinton, and then you had Barry.
Barry.
And Barry, I was talking about it earlier. He just lied.
What do you think? Do you think Clinton's going to tell the truth?
No. I think Clinton's not going to tell the truth. I did not. have sexual relations with that woman.
No, I didn't have sexual relations with that woman. I feel your pain. Come over here. Let me feel it.
I was going to say something. I was going to say something totally inappropriate. Like there had to be a reason why he had to use a cigar. But in other words,
wasn't there? No, wait a second. There was a thing about a cigar.
He played with a cigar.
And I gave him a cigar once.
You did?
After playing golf. I
Oh
said,
my gosh!
And
you
my
think
friend,
it's the same cigar?
No. My friends thought I did that to embarrass them. And I didn't. I had forgotten. I said, Mr. President, why don't you take this home and smoke it in front of Hillary? Because he told me, we were talking about how Hillary doesn't like me. And he said, oh, Hillary really appreciates you. Hillary loves you. And I said, bullshit. And I said, yeah, take this cigar. And the cigar is known as a cojones.
Oh, yeah.
It's this big. I handed it to him and I said, take this cigar and smoke it at home in front of Hillary. She'll hate me even more. That's when he said, no, she loves you. So then when we left, my friend said, that was hilarious, giving him a cigar. I said,
I didn't remember. You didn't remember that he I don't even know. You can't even say that he pleasured himself because
I don't know what.
How? These are deviant people, though. So
no, he's definitely and 27 times on Epstein's plane, he never noticed the little kids in the closet.
But how is it? Let's talk about
Didn't
Epstein.
they make a little noise, those kids? I mean, Epstein was not taking adults down to the island.
No, he was taking children.
So he was taking Clinton. So let's assume that Clinton, was going for adult women. But he doesn't notice the 27 kids on the plane, running around.
No, the bad part about this is that we still don't have the list.
We
don't have the client list of Jeffrey Epstein still to this day.
I wonder why.
But why? I mean, ask yourself the question. Anything that they do, anything that they touch, and now they're deflecting and starting to say that Trump was the one that was on his plane.
Trump was on his plane twice. And they were, I was his lawyer at the time, and I have all the documents. Trump was on his plane twice. Both times it was borrowed to go back from, and Epstein wasn't on the plane. It was to go back from Palm Beach to New York. Epstein was a member of Mar-a-Lago for several years.
Until he got fired.
Thrown out by Trump.
Yeah.
Thrown out by Trump in a documented story by a New York Times reporter because Epstein was abusing one of the masseuses. The masseuse was afraid to tell Trump about it because the masseuse thought that he was a friend of Trump's. The lady who was in charge of the masseuses, right, said, let me show you. Takes her to Trump. And within 10 minutes, Trump's got Epstein on the phone. I won't tell you the language he used. Basically, he never saw Epstein again. He took all of his stuff, put it in the security area where you come in, and he put his picture up. He said, "You ever see this guy on his property again? Throw the pervert out." And that was the end of their.
And it was a young masseuse, right?
It was a young masseuse, and the story is documented by a New York Times reporter. And there's nothing at all between him and, except they knew each other. But once he found out, and he didn't find out he was a pedophile. He found out that he was a woman abuser because the masseuse was an adult.
And I know that when there was an investigation, and I guess the FBI reached out to President Trump says, whatever time you need, come on down. He didn't try to hide from anything.
No, he's given every record of his relationship with Epstein, including the fact, and this story at Mar-a-Lago is known. You'd have about 20 witnesses to this story. I do, because at the time I represented him. I got the entire story, including from the New York Times. And
I bet you can't find that article anymore.
No, of course they buried it.
they took the article down. We're going to make Trump look good. Now we got to take that down and we got to replace it with some sort of fake news article.
But I mean, these two guys are going to speak tonight. So we'll see how the defensive coordinator does. I refuse to call him head coach because he lied and said he was head coach. He really was a defensive coordinator.
We look at the things that they say, and the devil. I was on the show yesterday, and somebody texted me, Joe, you have to look at Barry from the standpoint of the devil speaking, because Barry said a few things. He said that Trump's going to try and give the middle class a tax break, and that's only going to help his friends. And I kept thinking to myself, what middle class tax break helps billionaires? Even if it was true that they had billionaires, what middle class?
It's irrelevant to a middle to a.
I'm still trying to figure it out. I mean, I'm sitting there.
It also mean it actually hurts them. It would mean they have to pay more in taxes because somebody's got to pick up the taxes.
100%. We're $35 trillion in debt. Now, did you hear what President Trump announced today? He announced that every military personnel that was fired, past relieved, to go in the military for refusing to take the COVID shot would be reinstated and would be given 100% of their back pay. It is the right thing to do. It's absolutely the right thing to do. And more importantly, the right thing to do, there should be some legislation that's put in place that says that you do not ever have to be forced to put some big pharma drug in your system. That's any big pharma drug.
100%. 100%. And boy, that would separate the two parties and stop this craziness about who's really being tough on big pharma.
All right, can I ask a hard question, though? Can I ask you a hard question?
Okay.
It's going to be difficult. And frankly, we got to be willing to ask the hard questions because some of the things that were done, we in hindsight, we're looking back and saying, okay, Operation Warp Speed, right? And going towards a vaccine. The vaccine turned around and killed tens of thousands.
Agreed.
I believe that President Trump should come out and should say, you know what? I was advised incorrectly. After looking at the things that are out there right now, I'm not sure that in hindsight I would have done the same thing. But I had trust inside of an institution that much like the rotted rotted government apparatus, and now the judiciary we're finding out, that you have the same issue with the Fauci's and everybody else.
And I think he can say, as soon as I found out, I changed, they didn't.
Right.
So let's take the example of banning people from coming to the United States. He was the first one to do it.
Right.
But originally, he let them come in. He said, as soon as I found out, I banned them from coming from China. The whole world came down on me, and all the communists in America came down on me. But I did it, and I saved 100,000 lives that way. Same thing with the vaccine. I truly believe that the vaccine could stop the disease. But when I found out that it couldn't, I didn't mandate that anybody take the vaccine. Never during his time did he mandate the vaccine. It was always voluntary. Remember, he always talked about the vaccine as, I'm going to take it, but you don't have to take it.
Well,
So I didn't take the vaccine.
I didn't take it either.
And he was my treating doctor. When I got COVID, he took over my, because it was 2 weeks after he got COVID.
Oh, really?
So he decided to get his doctor and Dr. Maria, and they prescribed everything to me. I took every medicine known to man. I was cured in 3 days. And I was stronger afterwards. Now, if you meet the president with me, he'll say, I saved his life.
I have to tell you, I got COVID for 2 weeks, and I was down for a week of that. My oxygen
I probably
level
would have been too.
Yeah, my oxygen level was below 70. I couldn't stop coughing. It was
Worse than me.
really, 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 really bad.
I was below 90, right?
You were around 80.
Around 80.
Yeah, and I get this phone call from a friend whose husband is a doctor, and he's like, I'm coming over to help you. And I was like, I'll take whatever help I can get. I did not think I was going to go to the hospital, but at that time, this was after I came out with the information I had on Eric Coomer and Dominion, and so I couldn't go anywhere. I had people coming to my house with guns. Literally, it was a terrible environment. And so he came to the house, gave me an IV, gave me ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, and the next day I was fine. Literally the next day. Yeah, I was good. I still had the cough for like an extra week, but
She and I are part of the hydroxychloroquine chorus. We are massive supporters of Dr. Zelenko, who passed
Rest in
away.
peace. Yeah,
he saved 4,000 people. He's the one that talked to Trump. And, one of the horrible things is, and this isn't Trump's fault, Trump mentioning it is the thing that made it completely attackable, and you couldn't use it. Had he not mentioned it and doctors were just able to quietly do what they wanted, they probably could have saved 500,000 lives.
And then we find out today. So there was a study that came out. It came out of England. I think it was England, or maybe it was France. Anyway, there was a medical team that did because remember they put everybody on the ventilators,
Yeah, we were into this.
And the ventilators were killing people because they were literally
complete expert on this. I mean, we've got files like this.
And you had doctors that came out and said, "Don't put them on these ventilators." And again, they came out, they gave this advice, told President Trump to tell people to put people on ventilators. Hospitals were getting reimbursed $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. It was an obvious play that made hospitals more money, so they went straight to, oh my gosh, your oxygen level went below 90, we're going to put you on a ventilator, right? And it cost the lives of I want to say millions, but only 1.5 million people died in the U.S., which is a lot of people, but it cost us lives of our American brothers and sisters.
Well, I think that the president, if he were to do it exactly right, would have to say, I made mistakes.
Yeah.
It was a difficult time. I never made a deliberate mistake. I made a mistake based on the advice and the best judgment I had at the time. And as soon as I realized that was wrong, I changed it. I didn't stick with it. I didn't pass a law that you had to take the vaccine. In fact, I gave you the option to take the vaccine or not. I didn't pass a law that you had to wear masks. I gave you the option. And I was one of the earlier ones to talk about, take the mask off. And, but did I get it all right? No. Maybe I got 70% of it right. And then somebody can say that's about what anybody's going to do. Even DeSantis, who ultimately ended up being one of the best, his first 2 months were terrible.
They were terrible, and because of the rhetoric. Now, and in hindsight, though, what do you think about Fauci? Shouldn't Fauci be tried?
Fauci should be executed.
Crimes?
He should be executed.
Careful. You're on a stage with Joe, and frankly, I've talked about treason and what the consequences of that for, and they wrote all sorts of articles. And oh my gosh, he wants to kill the president for trying for treason.
I think he should be tried for murder. I mean, I think he knew that what he was doing. How about when he said the following? When it was raised that the Chinese came out of the Chinese laboratory, and here's what China did. Whether China did it on purpose or not, China did the following on purpose. When they found out that they had this tremendously communicable disease, they sent it all around the world.
Yes.
So the rest of the world would have to suffer what China suffered. That's murder.
And it was purposeful.
Yes. So Fauci is asked, do you think China would do that? How about this answer? Well, the Chinese would never kill their own people.
Let's go talk to the Uyghur people. I want to have the Uyghurs come down and
he picked the country in the world that kills more of its own people than any other country. Tell me he's not a Chinese operative.
Well, and you look at the I trace this all the way back to what he used to do on the AIDS epidemic or pandemic or whatever you want to call it back in the 80s when he said that you could look across the room and give somebody AIDS. There was a cut that we had that he was talking about, that you could be in the same household and just be looking at each other and you could give someone in your household AIDS. He said that, right? This is the same guy that for years he's diabolical.
So he got people killed. I think he deliberately knew he was going to get people killed. And that's what I mean by, in certain societies, he would be subjected to the death penalty. And he certainly knew that hydroxychloroquine would help.
Yes.
He had written an article 2 years earlier about how good it was. But he kept hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, everything away so there wouldn't be a treatment. Because in order to get the exemption, in order to make the trillions of dollars on the vaccine, you had to have no treatment.
You had to have emergency use.
And he was tied into that.
And look how much money he made on it.
Well, we still don't even know. He still hasn't turned over his royalties for that year. He refuses to.
Yeah, and look, the person that replaced him is even worse than he is, or of the same ilk.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're running down that same rabbit hole. And this is my fear for our country, is that we are semi-irrevocably broken. And come November, there's a couple of things that I have that are a problem. One, what happens in November if we have another stolen election, right? And I say what if. I truly believe that there's a desperation on the radical left right now. You can see it in the faces of every person walking down the street, right? There's a fracturization that's happening in our communities where people are just basically suffering. And last night they got on the stage and they talked about that 60% of our country is suffering. Well, it used to only be 40%.
Right, right.
Now it's 60%.
Right.
It's not getting better with the last 4 years of these guys.
Right.
And so with these irrevocable broken parts of our society, and the fact that they continue to go down that path, any sensible person would look at it and go, another 4 years and our country is cooked. It's done.
I'm afraid you're right, and I don't think there's anyone exaggerating the importance of this election to the future of this country, the way we know it. And I also think if we lose this election, we break the most solemn promise that we make to our children, which is to pass on a better country than the one that was given to us, because we're going to pass on a horrible country.
Let's scenario this. You know, I built a company from nothing to very successful business, right? And I stepped out for the last 3 years, got a PhD in politics. I got to tell you, that was awful. I don't wish politics on any normal person ever. And people keep telling me, Joe, you have to stay in the politics game. And I'm like, man, this is just, it's worse than high school.
Yeah, but the study of it isn't as bad as the practice of it.
Yeah, I love the study. If I can sit back and just read about it.
Yeah. I mean,
oh, train crash. Ooh,
it's like history or philosophy, or it's great.
Yeah. But we look at the eroded apparatus of government, and you have two diametrically opposed things. You have the people that are recognizing the rot and the fact that it's an unjust society, right? 56 cents on every dollar. You talked about this before.
Yeah.
You're the minority shareholder in life,
right.
With the government,
I'm the serf,
right? And so, as you get further and further down this road, now they're talking about 20% more increases in taxes, and they need more money, and that's going to help you with the $35 trillion in debt. But the thirst for spending and the thirst for more from the people, it's unquenchable. You can't quench that thirst. And so you look at President Trump getting into office, and one of the things he said today very clearly is, when I went to Washington, I didn't know anybody in Washington, D.C. He goes, now I clearly know who is and who is not a part of the swamp. Well, even if he gets in there, that we can identify right now that the swamp is very deep, because that swamp was surrounding you. And Mayor, it wasn't just surrounding him, it was surrounding you when you were trying to help him in 2020 navigate a very, very corrupt system.
100%, yeah.
Right? And so you think that the biggest people, the biggest proponents that stood in your way and stood in his way, did so with a smile and did so with the promise of loyalty, even though they had no loyalty. And it's not the loyalty to President Trump that he was looking for. He was looking to the loyalty to truth and to commitment to the country, ethics. And he just didn't have it. So when he gets back in, I mean, you're looking at wiping out 30, 40, 50% of the people that are there. And I don't mean wipe out meaning physically wipe out.
You mean get firing them, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a huge commitment. And you couple that with, all right, we have 20 million illegals in this country. They filled up all of the 5-star hotels. You look at the amount of money on a state side that is actually affecting budgets on the state side, and you have an execution problem, which the government has never been good at execution. So how do you then hand that down? These are big problems to resolve, right? And these aren't problems you can solve, but with the swift of a pin, because the amount of people that are going to be standing in his way and standing in the way of progress is going to be ginormous, because they are self-interested, and that's what this political or government organization has been all along.
I don't minimize at all how difficult it's going to be. Some of it's going to be easier. Some of it's going to be difficult. Some will be terribly difficult.
You mean like just shutting down the EPA and the Department of Education?
Yeah, the Department of Education, just shut it down. Nobody would even know it was gone for 5 years. Right? I mean, gee. I always wanted to just cut the Department of Education in half. And not even teachers, just all the administrators. But in any event, what I think happens, because I saw it happen to me in New York City. So I faced a situation where I was told nobody can change New York City. There were books written, New York can't be governed. My best friends told me it was a suicide mission running for mayor of New York City. Nobody can change it. And I changed it. And I changed it more than I thought I would. Because like failure is a big snowball coming down the hill, and then it becomes an avalanche. So is success.
Yes.
And maybe even better, because it starts to bring out in people something they forget when they're depressed, and that is their sense of principle, their sense of honor, their sense of pride, their sense of. So when you look at a city, I took over New York City, 70% wanted to leave, 80% thought it was failing. I left a city where 80% thought it was going in the right direction. When you got a group of people that think things are going in the right direction, you can solve most problems faster than you think.
Because
and that's what he has to do. That's what a great leader does. And that's why we need him, because he's the only thing we have close to a great leader right now.
Yeah, and so let me ask you a few questions related to that. And by the way, what you did in New York City,
and then he needs one to follow.
yes, and that's what I was going to get to. I believe I'd work for free. President Trump called me up and said, "I want you to clean the bathrooms." I'd be cleaning the bathrooms, put my little hat on. I'd even fly back and forth every day.
Another point that you make: reform, true reform, draws the best people to government.
Yes.
I mean, all of a sudden, a lot of people like you say, "Oh God, you would hate to work for government generally, right?"
Yeah.
Now, what did you just say? I do it for free.
I do it for free.
Well, you know how many people there are like that?
There's a lot. There's a lot of people that are doing it for free the last 4 years.
But they have to be. They got to be released.
And there has to be a checks and balance system that is not overburdened by, I'm going to just say it, unions. I mean, unions have their place in certain areas. They've done a lot to maintain safety and security for people in unjust environments, but now they've become the unjust. They've become the henchmen that really are holding back the ability for enterprise to thrive in America. Mm-hmm. And you can look at the fact that it takes 4 people to do what one person can do in areas like New York, or the fact that building you have what are called expediters on the East Coast. If you don't hire an expediter, you're not getting anything done. And all it is bribes. You hand them a pocket full of cash, they run around, they pay all the places that need to get done, and all of a sudden, what should take 4 or 5 months, we have them in Denver too, in Colorado, it takes 4 or 5 months, you can get it done in a month. But it takes a lot of cash in order to get it done, and promises, and people getting, greasing the palm. And I've been involved in those deals, and I see it, and I'm like, this is just, and they just say this is the way it is. But President Trump has always operated ethically. People were always afraid that he kept good people around him. And let's say that that's the same thing. We only have 4 years, Mayor, 4 years. And I don't see a deep bench. I don't see a deep bench with the undying commitment that President Trump has.
Unless he can develop it. In advance, or in some, if someone can pick up the missionary spirit,
the sacrificial spirit of doing the things that are right for our country. Yeah.
My whole objection to all of the group of people that were running for president, even when people would tell me he's too old, we need somebody new, was he's the only one that knows it. They're not. It's going to take them 4 years to acquire this knowledge.
Yeah.
Even if they have it in them to do it, it'll take them 4 years to acquire it. What he can do, he can pass it on to somebody else.
Yes.
But
it's going to require the same instinct.
It's the only hope we have.
Yeah. Well, I do have a large amount of hope in Jesus Christ and the fact that God will deliver us.
He always has, right?
Yeah.
I mean, our country. I think of our country very often has been in situations like the Civil War, looked like it was unsolvable, right? We weren't going to win the revolution, right? I mean, the War of 1812, they were going to take us back again. I mean, we can go on and on and on. And
we came out on top.
Even when we were, no way we could win the Revolutionary War. God had to win that war for us and give us George Washington.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
Well, I'm going to leave you with these two great men to analyze. And then tomorrow I'm looking forward to hearing the Democrats who've switched. And
it's going to be great.
Come up with all the...
And we have felons for Trump that are going to be here. We have the founder of that organization that'll be here.
Oh, that's great.
And we've got, look, I got to tell you something. I spent a lot of time with people that come from, that are those guys, right? You say those guys that serve 15 years of a 25-year sentence.
Yep.
I volunteer for this thing called the Dream Center, and I mentor men to get rid of that scarlet letter and start rebuilding their life from the standpoint
God bless you.
You served your community or served your sentence. Now it's time for you to move on and be a productive part of society. And so we tend to they're like the forgotten. But I do believe that we have some unlikely alliances that have been built in our communities that frankly are strong. They're strong. We're going to have a couple gang members, previous gang members that are going to be here tomorrow. They're going to be up here having conversations. I invited them. I just got on the phone and got. There's a guy that I've been trying to get here. Hopefully he's here tomorrow. But he served 8 years in prison for rape that he never committed. He wasn't even anywhere near it, right? And about 2 weeks ago he was actually shot on the streets. And here's a guy that has served and seen injustice, and the way that he described being shot they were trying to rob him and steal his car, as he said, these misguided youth, I'm not going to allow them to become part of the system, and literally forgave them on the spot. I don't have that in me personally. But to see some of the things that are happening in our communities, what God's doing in certain people's lives in certain parts of our society, I think is a strong indication of what might happen or will happen in November. But I can tell you right now, there's no way in the world that our country, even 10 or 15 or 20% of our country, believes that Kamala Harris, another 4 years of Kamala Harris, will do this country good. I think that the only people that think that are people that want to destroy everything that this country stands for.
Yeah, and they are trying to orchestrate the typical Marxist, Orwellian response.
Yeah.
And they've been successful, at doing things similar to that in the past. So they have a lot of hope, too. That's why this is so tough.
Yeah. All right, we're going to quick break. Thank you, Mayor, for being here. Go to a quick break when we come back.
Thank you.
We're going to make fun of Bill Clinton.
I'll see you later.
Hello, everybody. It's Mike Lindell live from Chicago for the Democrat National Convention. We're here with Frank's speech, and for $2, you get exclusive wall-to-wall coverage of everything going on in here in Chicago, including myself going in disguise, shaving off my mustache. You're going to have all the footage right here. You're going to get an email with notice of that when we're going inside the Democrat Convention in disguise. So sign up now, and it's going to be a blast. Hello, Mike Lindell here, and I'm welcoming you to the world of precious metals. Congratulations on taking that first step in getting your financial house in order. I think you're making a very smart decision with this, one that could protect not only you and your savings from an unstable world, but your family as well. So go ahead and fill in the information form on this page, and you're going to get a prompt phone call from one of Gold Coast's precious metal specialists. They're going to verify your information. Then you're going to get a free 2024 gold and silver kit sent directly to your doorstep. There's no shipping, no hassle, no nothing. Just a free information kit to help you learn more about the power of precious metals like gold and silver. I want you to do your own research like I did. You're going to be amazed about what precious metals can do for you. I'm excited to be partnering with Goldco. They're an amazing company with an impressive track record. And because you're a fan of mine, Goldco is also going to fill you in on details of how you can qualify for a 10% instant match in bonus silver on qualified orders. Plus, a 1/2 ounce silver Ronald Reagan coin absolutely free for qualified callers. That's right, absolutely free. I mean, it's really a great offer. So congratulations again on taking the first step to protecting and diversifying your savings. Thanks for watching the show, and I'll see you again soon. God bless.
Hi, I'm Joe, Supreme Leader of DCF. What is DCF, you ask? We're the best damn sandwich shop in the universe. Do we sell hoagies? Well, we're DCF, and the F doesn't stand for hoagies. We got 9mm sandwiches. We got beastly baguettes, and we toast buns like no other. Looking for training on bun safety? We got you covered. And our Rangers are the best place to test out your new Not sandwich. So get your buns out, because the sun's out, and let's party! We're not actually a sandwich shop.
Hello, everybody. It's Mike Lindell live from Chicago for the Democrat National Convention. We're here with Frank's speech, and for $2, you get exclusive wall-to-wall coverage of everything going on in here in Chicago, including myself going in disguise, shaving off my mustache. You're going to have all the footage right here. You're going to get an email with notice of that when we're going inside the Democrat Convention in disguise. So sign up now, and it's going to be a blast.
9. Oops, we're live. So welcome back. We are going to have a little bit of fun today at the DNC. I almost said RNC, but it is the DNC. We're going to break in to watch Hakeem Jeffries. We'll hopefully get him up next. Is he up? Is he the big-eared guy up right now? Is Hakeem Jeffries up? Who's sitting on the stage right now? Let's go to the stage really quick, and I'll tell you if we want to listen to him or not. Just put me up on the deal and see who we have up on stage.
Roe v. Wade.
Yeah, we got to listen to him.
Up with you for a reason. Donald Trump can spin the block all he wants, but there's no reason for us to ever get back together. Been there, done that. We're not going back. Kamala Harris and House Democrats will all